I'm sure one day teledildonics will get to a point where it's kind of like esports. It's on ESPN 20 or whatever. It's competitive teledildonics or something like that, but we're not there yet.
Do you think ESPN should go with like ESPN 8 the Ocho, where it's just like weird sports from around the world?
Like, you mean should they continue doing weird sports, or should they kind of increase the number and get weirder?
Like they like should no like I mean like should they like really lean into it? Because I don't think they actually do that.
Is ESPN 8 the Ocho not real?
No.
Oh wow, we just watched dodgeball yesterday. This whole time I've been thinking it's like a legitimate station.
I think they did it one year for April Fools.
Oh, okay. That kind of bums me out. They should do that.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm sure there's a lot of small scale competitive things that are, kind of like drone racing. They put that shit on TV. I think it's super lame. You can do that on ESPN.
I know. I want them to do like weird stuff on the ESPN 8 the Ocho, like the cheese run.
What's the cheese run?
In somewhere in England or the UK or Ireland,
it's all the same to me.
Roll like. Someone is in here very upset about what you just said. Not me, I don't care. But they like roll a cheese wheel down a big steep hill, and people like race to see who catches the cheese wheel.
I've seen videos of that. I didn't know it was like a formal. I mean, I guess it would have to be a formal thing. Otherwise, it's like, why the fuck are they filming and doing this?
Yeah, like people get like really hurt doing it. Like
Okay.
they break their like legs and stuff.
Awesome. It's like NASCAR for people.
Jesus.
Previously on the podcast, we talked about some differences between the games that we ship with home games and the games that people publish and download, community games for home games. We also talked about some differences between game refresh rate and server refresh rate, which is game refresh rate, and render refresh rate. Technical stuff that we didn't understand. Still don't think we understand it. And then we talked about a timeline for launching our beta, which will be at the end of June. Actual deadline is July 1st. I have a big whiteboard in front of or behind us that says by July 1st, and then a bunch of madman scribblings.
Because you also have 2/11/2022 on there.
Yeah, I missed that one by quite a bit. No, that was my goals for that day, and I only hit like 2 of them. So generally, I suck at project management, but that's been the theme of this whole thing, basically.
You have a very incompetent coworker on this project, so I'm going to say it's not your fault.
And today is Sunday, March 27th, 2022. And this is episode 104 of the Home Games Podcast.
Yeah, I actually am really glad that we did the previously, because I think like 2 Yazeeds lived and died over the course of the 2 weeks between now and last episode.
Yeah, the previously thing is mostly for you. It's not for our listeners. It's just like, all right, Yazeed, remember, I'm Joseph. This is the podcast.
Doesn't 2 weeks ago feel like so long ago, though?
Well, I was looking. We actually recorded the previous one 17 days ago because we did it on a Thursday because I was going to.
Oh yeah.
I was going on a trip, so we had to do that. So it really has been a whole lifetime.
Yeah, it's like almost a month.
17 days is most of a month, so sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you round
so
up.
like 2 months.
So yeah, we had that stuff last time on the podcast. I'm going to be following up on some stuff as we talk about specifically the timeline and launch plan stuff later. But did you have anything? I would guess not, because you don't even remember. But do you have anything that you wanted to mention about the previously on topics before we get started on anything?
No. I'll probably think of something that I might have brought up on that episode for the refresh rate.
Okay. Well, good, because before we talk about anything technical, I want you to talk about your first ever concert experience that we went to in Phoenix on Friday.
Yeah. It was my first concert. It was super cool. Joseph came over and brought Mediterranean or Greek food. We ate. It's like a 2-hour drive to get to the venue, and Joseph was like, we'll leave we'll get there like 30 minutes later, so the concerts don't ever start on time. And I was like, wow, that's weird, but okay. We get up there. This concert was supposed to start at 8 o'clock. We get there at 8:30. Nothing. It is like us and like a 1/4 filled room of people, and then and it's going, and Jess and I are just standing around hanging out, and then at like 9:30 they bring out like the opener act or whatever, and they're like, yeah, we like Phoenix, and they sing some songs I don't know, and they're like, okay, see you later, and I was like, okay, bye-bye. And then And like it's like a while still, and then I think Joe's like flashed me his phone or something, and he was like, "Do you want to leave at like 10 o'clock or 10:30?"
10:30.
And I was like, "Yeah, okay," because like he hasn't even come close to starting it as far as we can tell. And then at 10 o'clock, Benny the Butcher gets on stage, and it's like, "I'm Benny the Butcher. This is my whole crew. Let's start." Like, okay. He sings like one song, jokes about smoking in the venue. The security guard goes up to him and is like, "Yo, don't ever tell me what I can and can't do." And then that I thought I was gonna watch like a fist fight on stage. And at the end of it all, somewhere along the way, he was like, "Yeah, I almost didn't show up for this thing because the venue did something that I didn't like," or something like that. Yeah, I'm here anyway. I was like, sick, bro. It was great. I had a good time. He sang some songs. We left at 10:30.
Yeah, it was a mess, like front to back, which I was trying to warn you, I guess, before, that literally every rap show I've ever been is like that, where it'll start late. You're mostly just standing there in a crowded room, drinking a $7 PBR, which I was, and you had whatever you had. And then you're just like frustrated. Everybody is fucked up beyond like any reasonable amount. And
Very true.
like I was telling you, everybody's eyes looked very wet. Like, why do you all look like this? And like the one guy was literally like on the prowl, like head down, looking at everybody with his eyes up, like he was gonna fight or fuck whatever made eye contact, you know, just real primal shit.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the crowd at every rap show, and I'm glad you got to experience it.
Yeah.
And at one point he had like 16 people on stage, and none of them were doing anything. They were all just watching him perform, and I had no idea what they were there for. He didn't mention them. And
Yeah, you're like, "This is my crew. All right, let's start."
there was like a 16-year-old white girl in his crew. I don't know. I don't know what that's about.
Illegal, possibly, but I'm not gonna call the police on that man. He's already spent some time behind federal walls.
And then, yeah, he sold some Mexican Raw as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a fun concert. I'm glad that you had your first concert experience, and it was that. Would you do another one? Would you go to another? Also, that dude with the sweatshirt with Hitler on it. I had to explain the whole Griselda lore.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't see Benny the Butcher again live.
Yeah. I hate concerts. I don't think generally I would watch the same person twice.
Yeah. It just kind of felt like maybe disrespectful, because like we drove 2 hours. Gas expensive. Thank you, Joseph.
Totally. The Greek food that we had, I had a falafel wrap, and it was like cut in two. I was like, well, I could eat half of it, but then I'm just gonna have to throw away the other half because, you know, I don't live in your house. I can't, whatever. So I'm gonna have to keep this on me. Or I could just eat the whole thing. And like halfway through the second half of that wrap, something like deep in my guts was telling me I should stop. And then I finished it. And 30 minutes into the drive, I was almost certain I was about to shit my pants. It was the most terrifying experience I've ever had.
You didn't even say it.
No. No, as I get older, I'm realizing you have to be like more stoic as a man. You know, you have to be.
You can tell me I'm gonna shit myself. Can we go back to your house? Like, be like, yeah, dude, let's go back. Poop in comfort. Like,
it ended up working out. I just thought about it till it went away. And but yeah, it was like a brick of mush in a tortilla wrap or whatever, and it did some damage to me that I might not ever recover from.
Turned you into a brick of mush.
But yeah, no, that was a good concert experience. Thank you for doing that with me. It was fun.
It was fun. I don't think I would see Benny the Butcher again, but I would like to do that again. You did say that like pop artists aren't normally that late.
Yeah, we went to a JoJo concert a few weeks ago, and she started almost on the dot. Opener started on the dot.
Yeah.
She came out at a reasonable time. That's the thing that always gets me about rap shows, is that I understand they have to build the crowd up to a certain point before you bring out the person. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's weird. Like, it's just dead silent. It's like, here's 50 Cent, and it's weird. So you have to play the DJ stuff to get them up to this point with the opener to come out. And then you let that go until you hit a peak, and ideally you bring out the person there. But at rap shows, it's shitty DJ set playing music, and everybody's like kind of rapping along for maybe a minute or two at a time, and then they lose the momentum, play a different, better song, bring it back up, kind of creeping. And then they brought out the opener. We didn't know who he was. You know, respect to that guy. It's got to be really hard to be like, when I say MV, y'all say P, MV, MV, but no one's responding. And he's just like, all right, I love that energy. I love y'all. It's just like, you feel bad. But then after the opener, they just keep going. They go back to the shitty DJ set. Yeah. They never bring out the person after the opener. Yeah. And it's like, you just kill the momentum that you had. And it's just super strange. But
maybe it's because people weren't that hyped about the opening.
It wasn't even that. Like, I've seen really crazy, well, not really crazy, but I've seen well-known openers do that. And they still just go back to, all right, we're going to play some hits from 20 years ago. You know?
That's crazy. Yeah. I don't know if I would like that.
I'm a better DJ than most DJs, you know? They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I saw your Party Jams playlist.
You know, all Hall & Oates.
It's all one song from Hall & Oates. It's not even all of Hall & Oates.
I mean, you can't have a party without You Make My Dreams Come True.
31 times.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. I don't know. I was telling other people about that. They've been to, like, K-pop shows. I don't know if they call them concerts, but whatever. And they're like, that's weird. I guess, like, K-pop people, like, start pretty much on the dot.
Yeah. There's just, like, a open disrespect towards fan bases in hip-hop, basically. It's like, fuck you and your time and your money and your comfort. Seriously. It's barely a joke. Systematically destroyed my confidence over the course of several years. You know, every concert I go to, I'm just like, maybe I'm not worth anything, you know?
No, you're worth something. Yeah, it was an experience. I'd like to try it again. I was telling Joseph that, like, I was always, like, nervous to go to concerts on my own, but now I think I'm really ready to just go to a concert that I like. This is a band that I like.
Yeah, it's an experience you should have. I mean, you would regret it if not, you know? Like, if someone comes to town and maybe they don't ever come to town again, or, like, they die after. That happened with Juice WRLD. We went to we had tickets to a Juice WRLD concert like 2 weeks before he died. Then he died. It's like, well, shit. I was just feeling lazy that night. We should have gone. So, like, concerts are pretty, you know, you should do it. I went to a Kanye show by myself once, and I went to a Lil Yachty show by myself once. I think I've told you about the Lil Yachty one where the homeless guy called me a loser.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an experience. Like, I'll remember that forever.
I don't know if I want someone to call me a loser. I don't think I don't stand out as much as you.
I was trying not to stand out, but I'm just like...
You're a tall guy. You're also very white.
Yeah, that's true.
You're kind of shiny at night. Me, not so much. I'm more like Matte Finish, you know?
Matte Finish would be a really good porn star name.
It would. That's a great name for a porn star.
All right, so you ready to talk about home game stuff?
I am, yeah.
Okay, so...
Wait, is that why Bernard is at the top of the notes?
Yeah, Benny the Butcher.
Is that his real name?
I don't know what his real government name is, but I'm assuming Benny is short for Bernard, unless it's Benedict. That was what we thought, right? Benedict the Butcher would be the craziest name ever.
That is actually a really hard name, yeah.
But yeah, that was the first note, just to give you some space to talk about, you know, a very momentous occasion, your first ever concert.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, okay, so last week or last podcast, we talked about the roadmap and stuff for launch. And basically, I've been working on the admin side of that, which I mentioned last episode was essentially when someone creates a publish request, right? They've made their game, they put it up. It's technically, it's past our initial automated testing, and now a game version has been published. It's kind of in this private mode by default, and then we get a request where we can either approve it for publishing, public publishing, or reject it. And so it's still, well, I'll talk about that later, but reject it can go one of two ways. And so at the moment I have a dashboard I wish I'd showed you before, but basically on the website, the homegames.io website, you log in just like anybody would. And if you are an admin, you have a separate little option right next to, there's my assets, which is all the images, songs, whatever you upload for your games. There's my games, which are kind of containers for the published, you know, commits basically of your GitHub repository. And then there's a third one if you're an admin, which is just admin. And that page lists just a bunch of publish requests of everything that has been approved by the GitHub owner. So like, just as a reminder for that, when someone submits a publish request, we send an email to the owner of the GitHub repository and say, hey, this person just submitted your code for home games. Are you cool with that? If they hit yes, then it's an approved state. And that's that initial state I was talking about where it's technically in a private mode or whatever. So this publish requests page, as an admin, you just see the request ID, the game ID, and then there's a form for a message and an approve and reject button. And like I mentioned last episode, we cannot reject something unless there's a message. You can't say, no, your game cannot be published on our service and not give a reason. So you can give an optional one for approval. Like if I approve it and I'm just like, hey, this game fucking sucks, but go ahead. But I want to say that for whatever reason, I can. So that stuff works. Like I had mentioned last time, the admin stuff sounded potentially complicated because generally permissions and stuff in a web app are hard. But it's just the two of us, and we don't need like an actual managed permission model for your actual users and whatever. Our user stuff is really just Cognito users, which have email addresses and usernames, and you can have metadata, kind of just a blob of data or some string or number or whatever with a key stored on the Cognito user. And so we have that we have that now, and it's just called isAdmin. So then we just put a string, true, whatever. And so our auth API I updated to return just a Boolean if that property is present on the Cognito user and they have the literal string true as the value. Return isAdmin true, otherwise return false. And that's pretty much it. I went to my user, your user, added the metadata, isAdmin. Whenever you and I get into a scuffle and I get really mad at you, I'll go revoke it. That's how that permissions management looks like.
Right on. So this like whole view is set up for just you and me. So if I were to create a game, do I have a view of seeing like what games like I've put out there and like where they are in the flow?
Yes. Yeah. So you mean you as an admin or you as a regular person?
Me as somebody who's making a game.
Yeah. So you as someone making a game, you go to homegames.io, you hit the login button. There's a My Games option. You click that. It takes you to a list of every game that you have, which shows you like the name of the game, the image, like your thumbnail, your description, just kind of simple data like that. You can click into it, and then you see the more detailed stuff, which is all of the publish requests that you've made and its status. So like you submitted it, it's currently going through the automated test, it failed or passed the automated test. If it fails the automated test, it has the error as to why in the message there. And then when it passes, it'll say, sent for approval. And it's like an event log for your request. So you can kind of click into your request and see every event that's happened kind of in the process. And so, yeah, it'll be like sent for approval. And that means that the GitHub owner got the email. GitHub owner says, yes, that's me. Or, I approve. And then that's another event where it says approved. And so you can track all that stuff on the website by just looking at your game. And then when it actually all goes through, you get a game version in that list as well. So you can see your own versions of your own game.
Oh, okay, cool. Right on. I was going to say that maybe we should rename approved by the GitHub user to be like approved by GitHub user.
Yeah. I did approved before I thought about the approval process, which is fucking stupid. But yeah, like the resulting state now after approved is rejected or published. And it's confusing because, well, to the rejected thing, your game could be rejected and still exist.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is, like I said, one of two ways when a game is rejected. Say a game is rejected because... Actually, I probably need to give this more thought. Because what I was going to say is, say your game is rejected because it does something illegal, like it's a copyrighted thing. I guess on a legal level, we would need to remove it from our servers, remove it from our stuff because it's illegal.
Yeah.
But all we're doing is referencing it, which I guess is strange because really it's on GitHub. So I don't know the legal stuff there.
I think we would just need to remove any reference to it in our code base.
Maybe. I mean, it's not even in code base. It's just in our database where we have a reference, like a pointer to a bundle of code that we downloaded from GitHub and stored in S3. So in a way, I guess we're keeping that code. But I think ultimately the problem would be the assets that they have, not the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, I just played Mission Impossible 3.mp4. When you open the game, like, okay, well, the problem isn't the game or the code, it's the asset that you reference. So I don't know how that would look. But anyway, what I was going to say is if we reject it for a soft reason, where it's like, well, we just don't want this, which I don't think actually exists. That case doesn't exist. I think we have an obligation to just publish everything that's not illegal. Because, like, whatever. But in the other case where it's like, this is a literal virus, or this is something else that requires kind of more strict, more harsh punishment, we would probably delete the game and delete the person's account in that case. And, like, you know what I mean? Maybe not delete the person's account. I don't know. But it seems to me that if someone does something fucked, we can't trust them to not do it again. They can make another account.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem with that is, I guess if they can make another account. But would we get anything by deleting their account versus just...
It's mostly a punishment. It's mostly a, how dare you?
How dare you put more work on us?
Yeah, I don't know. Because, yeah, I mean, obviously you just make another account. Like, if I get banned from Twitter, my first move is to make a Twitter account. You know? But you could do fancier, like an IP ban or whatever. But then someone... I guess I've said this before, but generally when you try to prevent people from doing shit online, it's really a challenge to try to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe we just delete the shit and be like, hey, please don't do this.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we don't delete them, but we flag them and they have like a strike system. So if 3 strikes, you're out. Like baseball. Which I've learned.
You just learned that before the podcast. Or maybe the flag system, because, you know, like, if the end goal is to delete them, it's the same problem. If the end goal is instead to just show us on an admin level that this person is not to be trusted, it's like, hey, we've reported their game 40 times before. Yeah. So the next admin, you or whoever, could go in and be like, well, this is not something, like, I should, take a more careful look at this guy or whatever, and before I approve, just kind of marking them for us, not necessarily to delete.
Maybe. I don't know. I do think that maybe like a strike system, we do delete their account, but we give them like a chance. Because I imagine that there's somebody who would just like accidentally messes up. Like they accidentally make Sandstorm by Darude.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is if they make a mistake, that's cool. They would get that strike. I'm saying that the strikes should really just serve as information to us as opposed to a progress of deletion.
But the problem, I see what you mean. And that also protects us in the case of, like, they put out 2 real games and then they messed up, like, 3 times. We don't want to delete their account, and then we have games that don't have owners, technically.
Yeah, I haven't even thought about that case. Well, I mean, you wouldn't have... Damn, yeah, I haven't thought about that case. That's what I'm saying. I don't think we should delete accounts, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Because, again, someone could just make another one. And if we have a system to ban your IP, you'll use a VPN. If we somehow find a way to get around that, then you'll do something else because you're fucking weird, Like, if you're trying to get at us, I don't want to be in a constant back and forth fighting against people trying to prove that they can fuck our system.
Yeah, I think the problem is that legally we do have to give people a way of deleting their account.
No, sure, we can give you the access, but I'm saying I don't like the idea of it being a punishment.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that.
And if someone deletes their account, I would assume that means they want to delete every game they've also created.
Yeah.
And so that's a bit weirder. I don't know legally what we have to do, but I would say...
We just have to make it so that it's not identifiable back to them. But the problem with that is that we tie it to the GitHub.
Yeah, but I guess your GitHub isn't tied to you.
I think it is by your email.
Yeah, but your email could be
information.
I make a fake email. That's what I'm saying. I don't know the actual legal definition of tied back to you, because if you just
your email is is identifiable back to you, so you need to be able to remove it by like GDPR standards, and I think Castle for California.
But I can go on Proton Mail and make AskSlayer420 and not use my real name ever and never have any associated data to me.
Yeah, but AskSlayer420 is you as
But
far
how do you know?
as what? If you're receiving the emails, then it's you. It's like receiving mail.
But I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. I don't know the legal thing or whatever. Being tied back to me is my real name, my address, my social security number. Those things are actually tied to me, like on a real level. Me making an email address just happens to be my email address, but there's the link of it's mine just because I know the password to the account. You know what I mean? Like, what does it mean to be tied to a person? AskSlayer420 is just mine because I have access to the account.
Yeah.
My name isn't on the account.
Yes. But that's I know 100% for sure we can't. We need to give people a way of removing their email by most of those laws.
I don't know. We should get a lawyer. That's whatever.
Yeah, we should get a lawyer. But yeah, that'll be something to think about, because I don't know how that would work, because we also do store a copy of their code, so we don't have to necessarily reference GitHub anymore. So if somebody does delete their account, we can still keep the game.
Totally.
Maybe we give them two options, like, do you want to delete your account and your games, or do you want to just delete your account and no longer be tied to these games?
Yeah. Yes. So kind of like how Reddit does it. When you delete your Reddit comment or something, one action or whatever of deletion on Reddit, your posts, that's what it is. If you make posts and then delete your account, the name shows up as deleted. Your account doesn't exist anymore, but your post stays up. So I don't know if Reddit's the most legal shit in the world, but that seems like a pretty good solution to me. Like, if they can do it, I hope we can find a way to do that, you know?
Yeah.
Because if their contribution was an image or link or whatever, our contribution is essentially a copy of a GitHub link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, I think maybe just giving people two different options: delete everything, delete just references back to me.
Mm-hmm.
Or things that reference back to me, rather.
But then that gets weird too, because people can have the game already downloaded on their machine. We serve the game from our S3 bucket. The home games client downloads it and keeps it on disk. So
Yeah.
do we have to delete those as well and like mark them as deleted? And then when the client reconnects, it's like, oh yeah, I don't have sides on my computer case. It's funny.
That would have been really bad if my shoe went in there then.
Just take my GPU. We did the real sheesh on the podcast. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll have to think about that, I guess. But
Yeah.
to me, hopefully, it's a pretty lightweight thing, and it's like, okay, you don't have an account, but we're keeping all your shit. Just fuck you.
Yeah. I think it gets more complicated too. I wonder how Reddit does this, because like if you put like a link to your Patreon in your game, what happens?
What do you mean?
If you have like, if your game is like a link to your like you make a game, Joseph makes a game, in Joseph's game, a link to Joseph's Patreon.
Okay.
So when you want to delete your account, if you're saying I only want to remove information that ties this back to me, what happens? Because we wouldn't necessarily know, and we also can't fix everybody who has that everywhere.
Are you talking about the specific like GDPR requirement? Well,
yeah,
I mean,
GDPR Castle.
I can link to someone's Patreon. Doesn't have to be mine. So it's not necessarily linking to me. It's just data.
Yeah, yeah. That's also our information. We're not storing that information anymore.
If it's in the code, we are, because we're storing it in S3. But all we're doing is storing, patreon.com/AskSlayer420. That doesn't mean anything. It's just a link to a Patreon. Doesn't mean that's you.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
If I post a dick pic, it's not mine necessarily. It's just an image that I posted. This is the way I think about the internet, It's
I
don't know what linking to someone means.
I don't know what you just said is true, but we'll leave that by the by, because I don't know dick pic law.
Yeah. Dick pic law.
I know it needs to be from a consenting adult to a consenting adult.
True.
That's it.
Yeah, but But yeah, anyway, I have the admin dashboard stuff. It is working for the most part. We set those states. It's pretty fucked up. Logic. It's pretty it's pretty ugly. Like, I always say that it's pretty ugly. And that's going to be the next big thing I talk about. Did you have any notes or topics before I get into the next big old hunk of content?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, I said this before the podcast, before we started recording, but I had an idea where basically we have 12 weeks until beta.
Mm-hmm.
The admin dashboard was the last thing I needed to do on this board of stuff that's marked in red to actually get it like technically MVP working, right? Minimum viable product working.
Yeah. So
that needs love now. It's just 12 weeks of love that is required. And I was thinking, well, the TypeScript stuff, I still think we should have it at some point just to have some more structure, some more readability and consistency, which I think typing in general helps with. So I do think we should do it. I think it's hard to fit into this other stuff where, and tell me if you disagree with this, but in my head it's been, I'm a madman and I think of everything and all this shit lives in my head for the most part. And whatever I cue you in on or talk about on the podcast, whatever, you can find your space to get in and work on that stuff with me. But it's not really like we're fully on the same page all the time. It's really like I'm doing this stuff and then I get you in and you help in that way, in very specific ways.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound correct?
That's pretty true, yes.
Okay. I don't think that is super helpful. It's not your fault. It's not like anybody's. It's just the way it has been, and it's the way that this became. And I think it's because I really haven't. And we've talked about this before, but like we haven't ever gotten on the same page. Like I've walked you through stuff. I've been like, oh, I'll click around and like a Rick Mercer lecture. Our intro computer science professor who sucks. he like, it's basically just showing you something running, kind of giving you points at which you can maybe make connections to something that you already know, and maybe for you to like just basically figure it out. And it's just it's created like this weird divide. And so it seems like before launch, it would be really nice for us to be on the same page. And so looking at the current state of things and how basically everything in red on there, like I said, is done, but shitty. If we just take the time and say, go piece by piece together and do like even pair programming or whatever. I know it might be tough for you for some recent experiences, pair programming, especially remotely, but we could even do it in person. Like just taking the time and going through everything and both of us together refactor the code, make sure that it's solid, that we understand it, that we know that we know what it does, why it exists, how to test it. We can also turn it into some sort of content thing if you want to like record it for some reason, but we don't have to. I mean, we could just do this and go piece by piece, like I said, and those pieces are Home Games Core, Home Games Web, Squish.js, our engine, Home Games Link, the whole publishing process, front to back, which includes the services involved there, the Home Games IO website, and Pico de Gallo. Pico de Gallo is our demo website. And so if you and I go through all of those things piece by piece, take the time and just fucking do it, get it nice, you and I will be much better prepared to actually have and sustain and maintain a beta with potentially, hopefully, people.
Yes.
And to build on top of this stuff, you know, because if I were to get hit by a bus, you could figure out the code, but you would never, it doesn't make any sense still. You can know that this thing does this, but you don't know why.
Yeah.
And that's my fault. And so, yeah, I just think we should fix that. And I think the best way to fix that, instead of this like asynchronous, I'll make changes, send them over to you, get feedback and whatever, is like just together.
Like in lockstep. Yeah, I'm down with that. I actually really like pair programming. So I'd be down for that. I don't mind. Yeah, that would be really helpful. And then we get on the same page.
Yeah. Because I mean, we're there. Like, I think we get overall what this is.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a service that is deployed to ECS via Fargate, and this is how I build it. This is how I deploy it. We have Docker containers, and it's got these kind of request handlers. It returns these kind of responses. It does this kind of. It's responsible for these kinds of things. Like, I've never done that. I've never said what that is, but it's increasingly becoming a larger part of the overall system, because especially when we started the podcast, it was like, well, this is a game engine and some light WebSocket stuff with a client, and I don't really know about the rest. But then we have this whole system around it of publishing games, which is probably as important as the engine, or the core stuff itself. And so, yeah, it's just been like neglected while I've built this fucking shambolic set of node services where half of the code is commented out.
What a word.
It's, like sometimes I look at it and I edit it all in Vim. I edit the code on the machine that I build on. So like we have an EC2 instance in AWS where it's responsible for building Docker images and pushing them, and it has permission to push those Docker images. So it's like one thing, and I only have access to that. So it's like a security permissions, whatever. Good ideas, I guess, technically.
Yeah.
So, to keep stuff restricted like that and only have permission to the one server. So, and it's become messy because I SSH into the machine, I edit stuff in Vim, build and deploy, and that's how I test in prod, by the way. And then and then when I'm done with code, the way I check it in is I exit my Vim session, I run cat index.js, get the full output of the file, copy, paste it into my local machine, commit that code to GitHub, push that code to GitHub. And it's shit. And it's not what we should be doing. So that's what I'm saying.
So crazy what you just said to me.
Yeah, it's dumb. I live my life badly, so.
Dangerously.
So
frighteningly.
Yeah, one of my early machines, my early EC2 instances, I don't know what happened, but I let it run for months and I didn't really touch it. But Amazon sent me a thing and they were like, yo, there's a problem with the image or something that you're running. Instance is gone. You just got to blow the shit away. It does not work anymore. Inaccessible to you, not there anymore. It's like, okay, well, thank God I didn't have anything important on that. But if that were to happen to the shit that I'm doing that on right now, it'd be bad. So one of my other things on this board is CloudFormation templates, which maybe we do during this process, maybe we don't. But I think just in general, cleaning up that process and just getting you involved and getting your perspective on like that, right? Just having someone tell me it's insane, even though I know. It's like, okay, maybe that's insane.
It's like we're in the car and you're like, you're a weird guy. And I was like, no, I'm not. And then you explained to me to myself and I was like, all right, I'm a weird guy.
I don't mean weird in a bad way. You're a peculiar individual. You have some quirks. And it's okay. I wasn't trying to bully you, even though I realized after the fact I was bullying you. I came home and told Tenobia, I was like, yeah, I called Yazeed a dumb bitch in the car. I don't know. I don't think he took it well.
I take that well. I don't mind being called dumb bitch.
But yeah, basically that was kind of my pitch for this. I just wanted to lay out the plan for that stuff. But like I said, things technically work. And if you're in my head, everything is totally workable and runnable and nice. But the problem is that no one else is in my head. And so
it's not a problem. That's ideal. That is ideal, sir.
True.
One person, one head. You know what I'm saying?
For some reason, that sounds like in 50 years that'll be bigoted or whatever,
It does sound like that, but I don't. Hopefully, it won't be.
Yeah. Anyway, that was basically it, and you helping me with this stuff, and maybe, like I said, maybe we can make videos out of it or whatever. Where it's because like one time when I was actually working with JC on a game. That clicker I was making, for a couple of weeks on Saturdays, JC and I would put 2-3 hours aside, and I would screen share with him just to kind of get him involved in what I was working with and showing him how stuff worked. And I was refactoring code, which to me is boring. Not it's kind of boring. It's fun making stuff cleaner, but in the way that like cleaning your house is fun at the end because you get to sit in a clean house.
Yeah.
And it's really only fun when you're blasting Young Thug the whole time. That's refactoring to me.
Okay.
And so, but JC said the most valuable part of it to him and the most interesting part was seeing me refactor things to kind of get an idea of what makes code good. So maybe there's like a value to having that process, start to finish. It's kind of like an episode of Hoarders where I like walk you into my house and it's like, yeah, well, this is where I keep the piss bowls. like the dead hamster pile. And then we kind of go through it, and you're like, "Do you really need this dead hamster pile?"
We'll hopefully get rid of the dead hamsters. Although I'm really hoping we don't find any piss bowls.
Bowls.
Very
inefficient way to store piss.
At that point, you're not storing it; you're consuming it later. Like that's a temporary storage system. That's not permanent.
Yeah. No, I need my forever piss storage. But you see what I'm saying? Like it's just not great things
Deep
I have.
Piss storage.
I love when you make yourself laugh. It's a very rare occasion.
Is it? I laugh at all my own jokes.
Yeah, but you very rarely get the.
That's true. None of my jokes are ever like that hard.
Also, your use of the word hard for everything is like really concerning. This is actually a podcast intervention right now. We have to talk about your use of the word hard.
Is that not proper?
It is, but it's kind of like saying brazy.
Saying what?
Brazy.
What is brazy?
So like gaying stuff, right? With basically people replace the word or the letter B, or they replace the letter C with the letter B. Like instead of crazy, you say brazy. Instead of cracking, you say bracken. And when you have certain other rules of the word, people like started just saying brazy and bracken like because it's funny.
Yeah, it is.
Hard is like the modern version of that, where it's just like that beat is hard, or like that outfit is hard. It's just like,
my empathy green T-shirt.
Empathy shirt is hard. It's like the softest shit on earth, but it basically just means good.
It means caring. It's the hardest shit of all. Caring for yourself and others.
Yeah, caring about the world around you, that's hard. It's like it's lost all meaning. But anyway, that's basically all I had for this episode. I just wanted to say what we're doing and kind of refocusing and reshifting our stuff into the next 12 weeks. But stuff works. We just need to make it better and then kind of hit the big red button, which I'm excited for.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too. Yeah, I think the walkthrough would be really helpful. I think coming out of the walkthrough would also be helpful is if we have like a shared way for me to know what you're doing or what needs to be done rather, because otherwise I'm just finding my own work, which isn't necessarily helping us get to the finish line. Because like we talked about before, what we wanted to do was push TypeScript back until after the deadline, but that means that I would need something to do before the deadline. But what am I supposed to do? That's probably like the questions that I would have when we're going through this. And then maybe we can build like, honestly, like even beforehand, I could probably build some like GitHub issue templates or like bug templates, and then we can fill those out as we go. Like, hey, we need to do this and this. Like, okay, that'll be an issue. And then we have an issue tracker that's like built as we're going through it. And then we have like work to do like in the backlog. Then we can also like make like bigger things like the TypeScriptification and adding the linter. Like those things can be like, these are big things and we're going to break them out into like smaller things. Like we'd actually like build like, like stories, epics, sprints. Not sprints necessarily, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that kind of layout.
Yeah, in a way, each 2 weeks is a sprint because we have the podcast, which is kind of like a stand-up, where it's like if you go to stand-up and you didn't work on shit, you have to either make things up or...
I knew shit. I reviewed PRs.
Yeah, exactly. Or you wake up at 5 a.m. the day of your stand-up and you do 4 hours of work and then you talk like you did it yesterday.
I've also done the like Friday you don't do anything, but you have stand up on Monday, so over the weekend you do just enough that on Monday you can be like, I was working on this,
Yeah, so in that way, we kind of have to have deliverables, for the podcast. But yeah, I agree. We should use GitHub issues. I've been wanting to for a while. I kind of half-ass it sometimes. Kind of like the DJ at the beginning of a concert, where it's like I build up the hype and I get a little bit of momentum and then I fucking kill it and then I never go back.
Yeah, I did notice that we have 4 issues or something, but that they're not old and no one's looked at them.
Yeah, it's one of those bursts where I have way too much coffee and then I have 3 hours of the best ideas and then I'd have to actually do them and I was like, oh fuck this.
Yeah, I mean honestly, before we do that, I'll probably go through and build some basic Git issue templates because we use them at work and they're quite helpful to this is what I'm looking for it to do, this is what it's currently doing, these are some things to think about, which is those things are really helpful to have in an issue. I feel like when you're talking engineer to engineer. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're right. I agree. I do think for the next 12 weeks, basically if it were an epic, it would be launch beta. And if that were a few stories, it would be cleanup. Oh shit, our video just went out. Well, that's okay, video went out but audio is still there. All right, I thought audio was still there. My C drive was full, but we are back. Everything is good. Yeah, anyways, the thing I just said about people of color, good thing that didn't make it in.
Yo, actually, what were we talking about before the drop? Did we talk about the GitHub issues?
No, yeah, we did.
Okay.
It was pretty much all there, just the last minute is not.
Okay.
Yeah, we just lost we lost the last bit of video, and in this video, obviously, we're not recording again because I don't want to piece it together. But the audio is going. We're good. Anyway, basically, there's no more alone work in my head for the next 12 weeks. It is on a Saturday or whatever, whenever I have time, whenever you have time. Maybe it would be really nice to have a schedule, scheduled time where we both just, you either come over here or I go over there or we do a screen share or whatever. And we just walk through everything and knock it out piece by piece. Right now I'm working on Landlord and where I was working on Landlord and all the admin stuff and the website. So it would probably be getting Landlord finished and getting the data into the Home Games catalog on the Home Games website done, and then going on the other side of that and taking the Home Games core stuff I've been working on. I think I have a draft merge request up or pull request. I got used to pull request and I got a job where we use GitLab, so it's merge request in GitLab. So I have to anyway, it's hard to, they're the same fucking thing. But yeah, I have a draft pull request for the Home Games core changes. And so if you and I go through that, which is the stuff that actually downloads games that are published in Landlord, if we start with Landlord and you kind of, you have that whole kind of understanding first, then we can go to the Home Games core stuff, get the dashboard and all that kind of stuff, all those changes I've made, solid. And then, kind of keep knocking it out. Just make sure everything is good, clean, not embarrassing. Remove all the swears.
Yeah.
Or at least most.
Yeah, most of the ones that will show up, that would be ideal.
Yeah, if someone Command F's the code and sees fuck, I've made a huge mistake, but I think I've gotten most of the fucks out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That makes sense. Yeah, I'm okay with that. We should probably make a schedule. Not Thursdays, but I'm fine other days.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we talk about it, but my weeks suck, so weekends are the best.
Okay.
5 days a week just suck.
Oh, Thursdays I visit my ma, so.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so anyway, that's basically the plan. And after that, we'll both be, maybe we should do sessions where you and I plan together what we're doing for the next N months, the next sprint, the next whatever. Which I think for a time we thought this podcast would be, where we project manage on the recording, but I don't think that sounds super cool. What we could do, I don't know.
We kind of do that.
Yeah.
Informally.
Yeah, but not nitty gritty.
No. Well, that's why I think like having Git issues would be good. Like we'd have a template for like here's a story, here's an issue, here's an epic, and then like the epic here's like okay, here's the stories tied to that epic.
Yeah.
So then we can do like okay, here's the beta, and then we beta, and we're like okay, these are the beta issues, and that's like our epic is like resolve beta issues.
Yeah, that's true. But at some point after we've gotten everything together, and at some point before we hit the big red button, it would be nice to have those issues together. And then when you and I decide on feature work and prioritization, that stuff can be done kind of more together. And then I think that'll just make everything better if you and I are vibing like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, make things move quicker, probably.
Totally. Yeah, it's like I think I might have mentioned it before, but it just feels like being constipated. You know, you like feature wise constipation. Where you have all these things.
Talking a lot. We've been talking about poop a lot this episode.
Yeah. But it's like you have all these things in the pipeline, and they all kind of depend on each other in a way, and they all are 5% or 95% completed, and then you get your what feels like the last 5%, and it's like okay, we're at 95% completed. Like it stays there forever because you're always 5% away. And that's like a classic engineering problem of like, well, yeah, it's done, but like I could add more, or like, yeah, it's done, but it actually doesn't work.
It's done, but only on my machine.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you're on localhost with my IP, it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been there, lived that life.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else you wanted to say or mention or ask or joke about? Or what's your favorite Benny the Butcher song?
No instructions.
Yeah, okay. I could figure that because that's the one that you quoted to me the other day and at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah. I like that song a lot.
Cool. Well, then, in that case, thank you, everybody, for listening. We will see you in 2 weeks.
I just smiled realizing you can't see me now. So, bye-bye.
Oh, yeah, I also didn't say our music is done by our friend Tynan. He is Nytan on Bandcamp. That is Nytan, Nytan. You can find us on Twitter at homegames.io. We have a website, homegames.io. Send us a question, comment, concern, anything, feedback using the contact form at the bottom of the page, homegames.io. Thank you again for listening.
That's the sound of a home run.
Wow.